The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports, in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.
Top pocket goal!
It's what dreams are made of.
They are going to the World Cup Finals!
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the COYGIG podcast. Now, obviously, Christmas is approaching, so we are going to have a bit of a festive edition of the podcast this week where we are going to do our mid-season awards, where all of us have submitted our nominations to Emma Carroll, who will be the overall judge for each category as to who made the best decisions. But before we get into that and a little bit of general chat about Qatar, we obviously want to address the recent story that came out last week about Vera Pauw. It's been a difficult enough week for Irish football, as Vera Pauw was named in the final NWSL-NWSL-PA report into misconduct in the league, referring to her time at Houston Dash, which was just before she joined the Irish team. The report alleged that Pauw took part in a culture of weight shaming and attempted to exert control over every aspect of their lives. Now, she has strongly refuted every claim in the report. The report said she didn't cooperate with the investigation at the time, but did send a statement in response to what she believed the allegations were against her to the investigating team. She has since had a press conference on Friday in which she said that she didn't participate in the investigation as she wasn't allowed to record the interview with the team herself, and so instead she opted to provide them with a 13-page written statement. She said, "To suggest I would body shame any human being, footballer or not, is an insult to my personal values and to my behaviour as a coach, and I cannot allow this claim to go unchallenged." Now, as well as a press conference, she also gave an exclusive interview to Off the Ball's Nathan Murphy after the press conference, where she explained her certainty that she was not guilty of the misconduct alleged in the report, and went into a little bit more detail on her side of things with the investigations team. So you can find that chat on Off the Ball's YouTube channel or wherever you get your normal podcasts, wherever you normally listen to COYGIG, it will also be there. But Emma, you were away for a lot of this. You were off in Qatar doing a FIFA Legends game. We talked about it a little bit on the show last week, but it looked like you had a pretty good time from everything that I saw on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience, I have to say. I've been traveling through the night, so I'm absolutely exhausted right now. But yeah, it was a class experience. I mean, these players are ridiculous, like just walking around starstruck the whole time in the hotel. Didn't speak for like 4 days. I was just like, my jaw was like just on the floor, just looking at these players, sitting there having their whatever food. Like Ronaldo had about like 6 plates of fruit in front of him every day. It was class, and the games themselves were very, very good. And my knees, honestly, I haven't kicked a ball in 5 years, and I was like, I'm going to be so bad, but you know what, I don't care, I'm here, I'm going to enjoy it. I didn't realize how bad my knees would be the next day. I literally could not walk, and then I was walking around the hotel for the 3 days later, like very gingerly, like people were just walking past me like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm really not.
You were already suffering a little bit before you left with the few like gym days you had done prior to going.
It teaches me a lesson though. You can't just go into something. You need to like train and prepare your body. It's still in shock. But my one big worry was my Achilles, and it didn't rupture. So happy days. Who cares? Who cares about the knees? I don't.
Well, just to give people a bit of an idea.
Arsenal care about knees at the moment.
Oh yeah.
It's not been a good day for the old knees with the news that Miedema is now out for the World Cup because she's also done her ACL.
Emma, we need to know who was sound and who was a bit of a hole. Come on, give us the real dirt here. Come on,
get down with the goss. Well, I'll tell you who definitely was not sound. The players that didn't show up.
Did some not show up?
Oh, there were loads of no-shows. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know why, but all I know is that our team was seriously reduced, which means we had to play every minute of the game. And, you know, when you're playing with lads that basically haven't run like me in 5 or 7 years and don't really want to defend, like Stoichkov, don't ask him to defend, like just don't do it. As a goalkeeper, that was not fun. But yeah,
he didn't turn up.
Peter Schmeichel did not turn up, and I was kind of like really hoping he would. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them were very, very sound. A couple of them weren't very sound, as in they were like giving out stink to me when I lost the ball. And because of the language barriers, I felt I couldn't respond the way I wanted to. Yeah, but the cheek of them, I'd lose the ball. I only lost the ball a couple of times, and then they go mad at me, and I'm like, they can't even run. Like they were like literally walking around the pitch, not defending. I was like, the cheek of them. Anyway, most of them were fairly sound. It was good fun. Most of them took it seriously serious, like way too competitive. Like they were killing each other. Clarence Seedorf was absolutely destroyed after the first game, so he couldn't play anymore because they absolutely killed him. And it didn't matter if you were a girl or not. No, they were not holding back. They were like, and it was off the wall as well. Imagine 30 minutes of a small-sided game. Asking our lads to run around for 30 minutes is just impossible. And 3 games, one after the other. So yeah, it was it's a bit of a disaster when it came to that, but in general, just really good fun.
Who became your FIFA Legends bestie in the time you were there? Who did you spend a lot of time with?
So Farah, I was hanging about with Farah Williams a lot because I know Farah, and we were with her entourage of agents and people she had. They were like, "Where's your people?" I was like, "At home."
We're all here.
It's me.
And then of course her Rio Ferdinand was hanging about. Met Robbie Keane over there for a drink as well.
You found a bar.
Oh yeah, I found the Irish, and there was a bar that it was free drink and free food, like all day, every day.
I'm so impressed that you're here right now.
Listen, I was so well behaved. I think I was just starstruck and I couldn't eat or drink. Like I couldn't drink cocktails and they were trying to force them down your neck. I was like, no thanks, I need a water. I need to keep my wits about myself.
I just love the fact that you felt like you were speechless for multiple days. You were turning down cocktails. Like, although we've never met in person, Emma, I feel like these are all very different to your normal personality traits.
Personality transplant on the plane over.
People were coming up to me and going, "Oh, my mate told me, like, if I want to go on a session, I've got to go with you." And I'm like, who told you that? Who's talking? And then I wasn't really drinking, so maybe, I don't know, they thought I was like on antibiotics or something like that.
And you were obviously at the final as well. What was that experience like? I mean, watching it on the TV, I was practically like, I need to go and lie down and like, I don't know, get some oxygen or something.
It was incredible. Like, it was the best game of football I've ever seen, first of all, ever seen on TV or live. And then just that with the atmosphere, like the whole section we were in was absolutely rammed with Argentinians. And they're so passionate. Like, I spent most of the game filming this one dude, one row in front of us, and he was crying. Before the game, he was bawling, crying. And I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. And so I was filming all his stuff. And he couldn't watch the penalty, so he ran off somewhere else.
But Aguero you were sitting beside?
Yeah, it was hilarious. But it was just brilliant because the first half for me, I mean, I wanted Argentina to win for Messi. And I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those games, isn't it? It's like very boring. It started off, I'm thinking, you know, Argentina have scored, they're going to just defend now, and France aren't on it. Their midfield were shocking. I was like, oh. And then it's just second half just kicked off and I proper got into it. I was well into it then. There was a guy with an Irish shirt there. Can you imagine? An Irish guy was sitting right in front of us as well. I was like, who are you supporting? And he was like, Ireland. I was like, okay, nice.
Yeah, I saw a couple of Armagh jerseys, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
there was awfully jerseys as well, which seemed very random.
Yeah, there was a fella sitting near me with, all I could see was O'Neill's on his back. And he was obviously from Ireland. I was taking pictures of him. He looked famous. I was taking pictures of him. I was sending them back on my group chat with my friends here. And they were like, we need to see his front because you can't see his back with O'Neill's. I was like, oh yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm not going around there taking a picture of him. But yeah, there's a few Irish people there, which was cool. Getting to the stadium was a nightmare. Like we could probably have walked, but we had to get on the coach and it took us like an hour and a half. So we missed the opening ceremony, which was a bit of a downer. But apart from that, everything ran really nicely. I was very impressed.
Glad you had the experience.
Yeah, and they were just partying. Even when I was leaving the hotel this morning, like they were still like in the hotel, like going crazy, just a bit devastated to be leaving it, to be honest. But I'm back here, very happy to be back here in League Slip.
You had to be with us. Why on earth would you want to be partying with Argentinian fans and like the biggest
Ronaldo
event in their
like
history
that.
in 30 plus years?
I mean, come on.
We're a delightful company in the whole thing. Well, no, it does sound like a pretty insane experience. I mean, when you put up the screenshot of all the FIFA Legends teams and who was on each one, how did you do in them actually? Like, how did your team do? Did you win anything or?
So we did really well in the first game, and then we started losing in the second, and literally everyone just gave up. Like everyone was like, oh, that's it, we've lost. So for like 24 minutes of the game, I was just getting pelted with the ball. Bearing in mind, my knees had already doubled in size and I was extremely tired. So I was getting a little bit ratty. But it was good. A lot of our players got injured. This is a problem as well. Everyone was just getting injured. Like there were 3 injuries in the first game that had to go to hospital. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. I'm thinking, I want to get home for Christmas. And Lily broke her fingers as well. So she was out. But we didn't do great. We didn't qualify for the semis because we'd just given up. So
maybe better for your general fitness in the long run.
I was so happy. I was like, oh, what a shame. Yes. Yeah, but you know, our squad was just depleting because people were just getting injured, and then they're just like, that's it, I'm done. My 10-minute cameo is over. I'm going on the lash type of thing. Yeah.
Well, Emma, we were very happy that you managed to get back in one piece and that you're here to record with us in what is a brilliant way to welcome you back from Qatar. We obviously will have our awards coming up next with Emma Carroll. But first, we just wanted to remind you of the competition we are running. Thanks to our partners at Cadbury, we're supporting Irish women's grassroots football, and we are giving away all the net profits from our most recent Cadbury Roadshow in Vicar Street. We're giving you the opportunity to win €1,000 worth of equipment for your local grassroots adult club. For your club to be in the chance to win, contact us with your club details and contact information at the COYGIG Pod at offtheball.com. Terms and conditions apply. Head over to otbsports.com for more. Now, coming up next, we have our mid-season awards with Emma Carroll. Now, as per usual, we are bringing you our mid-season awards. So me, Karen and Emma Byrne all submitted our nominations, and then Emma Carroll had the pleasure of choosing which one of those 3 got it right. So just to run through our categories quickly, and then I will let Emma take it away. So we have goal of the season so far, moment of the season so far, standout player, you guessed it, so far, and also season surprise, which could be related to quite literally anything that we wanted to. Emma, were you judging us massively when we submitted our nominations to you?
No, all good nominations, but yeah, there was 1 or 2 that I thought maybe things I should have probably been given a mention that wasn't, so I will throw those in.
I feel like that would be only right, that you would have your own thoughts on this as well.
Yeah.
So do you want to take us away?
Yeah, we can get going with goal of the season first. So we had 2 nominations for one particular goal, which was Viviana Miedema against Everton. Now, this should be said that Karen probably kind of maybe cheated a little bit because she did give 2 nominations with Ashley Neville's goal against Leicester as well. And Emma gave Una Bazier against Villa. Karen gave us a nomination of Viviana Miedema and Ashley Neville versus Leicester as well. So, and then we had Emma Byrne's nomination of Una Bazier against Villa, and I'm hoping I'm getting finally starting to get the pronunciation right, maybe. Yeah, so I think we have to go with probably Viv against Everton. I don't know if that's recency bias and all the injury news that you're kind of feeling sorry for right now, but it's just the technique was brilliant. I
think it was just because it was individual brilliance, and some of the other ones to potentially look at maybe the keeper or something like that, whereas there's not too many other people in the league that could have scored a goal like that with 4 or 5 defenders around her.
Incredible, wasn't it? The reason why I gave another option is because I knew Karen was going to pick that goal, and I wanted just to say it's my favourite goal as well. When I'm looking at the goals, obviously I'm looking at the keeper, and if I feel like the keeper could have done better, it's difficult for me to pick that particular goal. With Miedema's goal, no keeper would have stopped it. It was in the top corner, brilliant strike. Whereas with Neville's, I was like,
his positioning, a bit slow to get back. Didn't really make an effort there. But obviously it was a great goal. Yeah. And then I had to pick Baget's goal because it was an absolute rocket. Yeah.
The way it just bounced all over the place.
Couldn't have even been shooting from there, really. But
no, but again, you can kind of look at the keeper and say,
I don't think so. I think it was just too powerful.
Yeah, maybe. But with Miedema, it's definitely not. Yeah. We're looking at the strike, absolutely class. And the way she just took the touch, and she's no space, and she just finds that little tiny bit of space and puts it top bins. That would be my goal of the season.
Kind of, when I was watching it back today, it vaguely reminded me of Mbappe on Sunday, where it was just like that one piece of individual brilliance, towards the end, where it looked like he was going to give France the lead, and he went past like 3 Argentinian defenders all by himself. He just didn't manage to get the shot off. It was just taken off his toe. But that's what this goal reminded me of when I was watching it. Like, there was no one around her. She had all the work to do, and as you say, like, no one was really getting to that. But no matter how good a goalkeeper you are, if you had actually pulled off the save, you would have been like, oh my God, that was an incredible save.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And the thing with Ashley Neville's as well, sometimes I wonder, does everybody have one of them strikes in them? Like, you see the you just have a pop, and I think, there's probably
there's an element of
flukiness, but I think everybody has a decent strike in them that that can happen from time to time.
Yeah, maybe once in a life. I can't remember Karen ever scoring a goal like that. Mine
probably managed an own goal like that, back pass meant for you or something. It's coming. I'm still going. This is the year, Emma. This is the year.
And so, Emma, for our second category, what were our nominations?
So for player of the season so far, we had nominations by Karen Duggan, Guru Wrighton, Emma Byrne, Erin Cuthbert, and Kathleen McNamee had Bunny Shaw.
I was actually quite surprised in this one because I low-key thought that Emma Byrne was going to take it. It was the way that she talks about Bunny Shaw. So I'm quite surprised that it was just me, but like, I do understand the Erin Cuthbert nomination. Although I have to say, I think Bunny Shaw is going to win the Golden Boot this year. I think she's been incredible. I think I was reading an article with her today where she was saying she didn't actually expect Ellen White to retire in the way she did, and that she was thrown into this season in a sort of unexpected form, that she had to like build all these partnerships that she had no chance to do. She's already scored more goals, nearly more goals. I think she's 8 this year, and she had 9 in 17 games last year. And we're literally only halfway through the season, and I just think she is going to be the person that at the end of the year we are like, yes,
if City can find consistency, and if they continue to
I think
end of the season to a start of the season like they tend to do.
This is true, but also I don't think if you're looking at individual players, like even if City lose the consistency, she has been the person that's been consistent for them, and that's even more impressive considering the fact that the team itself has been a bit all over the shop at the start of the season. Obviously they're on a good run now, but I think she has been very good.
She has been very good, but I actually think she is performing above her what's that expression? Above her.
I was going to say station, but
exceeding expectations.
That's exactly what makes her a standout player. That's like saying that Sam Kerr is bad this year because she like performed above expectation of herself last year. Like, that's exactly what you want from a standout player. I don't take that argument at all.
I'm saying if I had a choice between the 3 nominees there, Guru gets on my team.
I'm shocked
you
by that
nominated her.
decision.
I'm right.
You know what? Both of these, I would have a similar argument because, yes, they've been incredible this season, but there are games where they are completely, invalid. They don't get on the ball. They go a little, they hide a little bit. With City, I think Bunny's done great, but I don't think she's going to keep that up. I think she's going to drop off it. And when she drops off it, we're going to be talking about maybe someone else coming in there. She mightn't even start. With Wrighton, I think she's brilliant, but I've seen her hide a lot in games, and I'm never going to pick a player like that. I do like her. Yeah, a little bit. Champions League, been off it a bit.
WSL, Emma, come on, keep to the script. WSL.
Even in some of the games, I just think, against City there at home, I thought she was poor. In the big games as well. She wouldn't be a player I'd be that afraid of to play against, basically. But Erin Cuthbert, for me, I just think her work rate, she's played in loads of different positions last season. She's come in, she's got the position she wants to play in this season, and I think she's paying that back. And I just think her work rate and her level of involvement, and I just love the fact she's like a little Jack Russell in there. I love those players.
But see, for me as well, she's not like a standout player. Like, it's exactly what I expect from Erin Cuthbert is what she's doing, and her performances have been excellent, but have they stood out as something different or as something impressive compared to, say, Bunny Shaw, who's apparently performing above her station?
I think then she'd be in the surprise section, wouldn't she?
Well, you could argue for either.
Well, there's someone that's glaringly missing from your list. And I was kind of going, I was leaning towards Guru Wrighton. I will lean towards Karen. And then I was like, do you know what? Rachel Daly hasn't been mentioned here. And from a purely importance and impact person to like really give a club a push on and exactly what they needed, I think Rachel Daly definitely is in with a shout.
She is a classic Emma Carroll.
They're very mid-table.
Yeah, I was going to say, to use a classic Emma Carroll phrase, she was on my bench when I was doing this list. Like, when I had a long list of players, she was there. But like Karen said, it was just the general level of the team. And I think Rachel Daly has come into the league and done exactly what we expected her to do. And if she was in a higher level team, would she be doing it as effectively?
But I think if she wasn't at Villa would be majorly struggling. And I think she's the reason for them to be where they are, which is probably pretty much safe and, maybe even pushing for a 6th place finish.
She's definitely a standout player for Villa. The whole league, though. I mean, again, if I see a player that doesn't control the game, or, again, against United in Old Trafford, she wasn't in the game, she wasn't dangerous, and I know that's because she wasn't getting the service or whatever. But I look at that game, major game, top of the table. If they beat United, it's a massive 3 points for them. So those are the players that you're looking for. And for me, didn't really impress. So again, I understand why you picked her. She's been Villa's only goal scorer, basically, her and Daly. But wouldn't have been the standout player of the league completely for me.
So, Emma, in your final decision, did you go with Karen Duggan?
No. I went with my own decision.
I feel like I can't even argue with that one.
I was tempted, but no. To sum it up quite quickly. Yeah.
I like the way the rules of this are just changing in the same way our rules do for Team of the Week, being like, oh, I want to fit this player in, but their position is pretty stacked. Where else on the pitch can I put them?
Yeah.
What did you pick for goal of the season?
Miedema.
Okay, but you had chosen that originally, had you?
I didn't actually choose one of those goals, but yeah, I would have agreed with Karen and Kathleen on that one.
If we haven't changed your mind in 2 options. Okay, all right.
I would have agreed with that goal, though. No, definitely. Should we move on to moment of the season so far?
Mm-hmm.
So again, Karen and Kathleen going with the same moment of the season here, which is really interesting, because we've got a Manchester United side and an Arsenal side, which is Manchester United beating Arsenal at the Emirates in the dying stages. And Emma Byrne has went for the Sissoko scrap, which does appear later on in another category of nominations for surprises from. But
that's my mom. I had it in moment of the season, but then I was struggling for surprise of the season. So my sister was like, "You can't pick that, Emma. That was a very aggressive moment." I'm like, "It's a moment of the season."
What a moment. But yeah, United beating Arsenal, and as a completely neutral on that standpoint, I felt that Liverpool beating Chelsea on the opening day of the season as well should probably be worth a shout as one of the moments of the season.
So neutral.
Probably forgot about. Yeah, neutral standpoint between United and Arsenal match, yeah.
Well, the
do
reason
you want to argue your points?
I understand why you would say Liverpool beating Chelsea, because in terms of like a standalone moment, it was pretty epic. But I suppose it's everything that happened with Liverpool since then that kind of, it just made it feel like even more of a once-off. Whereas I feel like
it could be really important come to the end of the season.
This is true. But I feel like United beating Arsenal was like more important on a number of different fronts, in the sense that like obviously it's the first time United have got that kind of major win against one of the top teams. Not only that, they did it in such like spectacular fashion. Like I couldn't even be upset by that last minute Russo goal, because I was just like, this is such a good match. Like it has everything that you want in terms of the title race, in terms of Champions League places. It's going to have such a massive impact. And I do think it's the moment where United shifted a little bit in maybe their own psyche and other people's psyche, in terms of like, okay, no, this isn't the United that we've seen years before. Okay, yeah, they lost to Chelsea, but they've still managed to come back and get the win that they want. So they're on the right path. So that was why I went with it for moment of the season so far.
Yeah, it is a good one. Thinking back now, I don't know. So in my head, like the first thing I thought about. But yeah, that was a great moment. And when Russo ran towards the fans, the United fans as well, it was unreal that day. Yeah, it was incredible. And it was a great header. It was a great header. She got in between about four people and bulleted home. But I think it was really because United lost their lead and didn't crumble. Whereas in previous years, I think Arsenal would have kicked on. But all in those dying stages, it was all United. And they were down at the United end. And you could hear 40,000 people that were at that game. That could be another moment of the season or surprise of the season. I don't know if it's a surprise, but the attendances have gone up like 200% or something, which is brilliant and has added to the atmosphere. But that was definitely the game of the season so far. So that's why I kind of went for it as moment of the season.
Yeah. No, I think we're all probably in agreement on that one. I did just want to mention the Liverpool match, but no, like purely from the points that you've said, like United finally beating the top three, such an important moment for the title race, and having away fans as well, which is not really a thing in the WSL. So having that whole section to create that atmosphere, yeah, I think that's moment of the season so far.
Agreed. Great.
Yay, we agree on one. The surprise of the season so far. So the Sissoko scrap, as we've already mentioned from Karen. Kathleen has went with ACL injuries, and Emma has mentioned Jess Park as her surprise package.
I like that we've all gone for three like very different themes on this.
Very
we don't really know.
It's a surprise. That's her name. Yeah.
I was surprised. Yeah, you don't see enough proper scraps these days in football. So I was like, oh, there she is, and she's going back for a second slap. So I was a bit like, I'm surprised she only got a 2-match ban. There's a lot of surprises going on. Sarah didn't get sent off as well. Yeah. I mean, that was just crazy. I was looking back on it again today. And the more I look at it, the more I'm like, how did Sarah Malin not get sent off? Because she actually went for Sissoko. Sissoko was backing off and Malin was going towards her. I mean, it would be a natural reaction.
I mean, it's not.
Maybe for the first slap, at the second.
Arm looks proper long. It was like, gadget arm.
Long reach.
Oh.
But I thought it was interesting. I was listening to Counterpressed today when I was on my way home, which is like the Athletics WSL podcast, and they have Kate Longhurst on it. And she was saying that after Sissoko scored at the weekend, the rest of the team just couldn't stop laughing because they were like, this is so ridiculous. Just come back off a lengthy ban. You score this goal. And they were like trying to get themselves back into the moment to, you know, we have to play the rest of this game. We need to cop on. And she was like, we literally just would look at each other on the pitch and burst into laughter. And like the coaches were all on the side of the pitch being like, come on, get yourselves together.
I think you'd react like that mostly if you see your centre half breaking from a corner and then going for the chip over the keeper, even though the keeper wasn't even down. It was audacious. But she's a character. We want characters. It makes it interesting.
I rate her as well. I think she's quality. Yeah.
That's fair. I went with ACLs just because of today's news with the fact that Miedema is now out. We've already lost Beth Mead. I was listing off all the players I could think of in my head that, not just in the WSL to be fair, but like across leagues that are now out. And I was like, you could easily say 70% of like the top players in the world right now are out with ACL injuries. And the fact that this is just like, it just keeps happening. It's keep rolling on. I don't really know what anyone is actually doing to stop it. Obviously, we had our episode about ACL injuries, which people can listen back to if they want. It's in all the places you normally get your podcast, with a little plug. But the fact that this is still happening, we're still losing major players, not just for this season, we're losing them as well for like the World Cup next year. It's just, I just think it's so bad. And it's not even the worst in like the higher clubs, because you know you're Miedema. Like we've possibly seen Miedema in an Arsenal jersey for the last time. And her deal's up in the summer. We don't know if she's going to re-sign a new contract. I know Beth Mead just signed a new contract, so that may entice her to stay for a little bit longer. But you know, we're losing a player of that caliber for 9 months minimum, and there's nothing we can do about it. So yeah, this is more something that just like angered me, and I was like, I need to have my vent, so I'm going to put it as my season surprise.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. The ACL, the list is just growing and growing. But sure, we'll make them play more games in a cup, in a World Cup competition. That will work. Yeah, something definitely needs to be looked at. And I was actually sitting beside a scientist in Qatar, and he's going to write a book on it. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And he was like, it's about that he's a physicist. Have I said that right? And he was like, it's about the dynamics and, you know, it's about the training. And I was like, I know all this, but why is it happening? And he's like, oh, I have to do a little bit more research. I was like, but
he's going to write a book. He's going to need to do a lot more research.
Just a bit, yeah.
I don't know if he's talking about like next year or in 10 years, but it'll be too late. We need to find out now whether it's the strength and conditioning area or whether it's the, I don't know, periodization of training. But with this new competition, it's certainly not going to help the old knees. You know.
No, and the fact that like FIFA Pro were straight on it, being like, where did this Club World Cup come out? I know they've talked about doing it for women for ages, but they're like, you told us, FIFA, you're going to talk about this global calendar to us before you made this announcement, and FIFA were just like, jokes on you guys.
Kind of like the Nations League, like, you know, it was like there was no real discussion. It was muted maybe, but it was like just announcement come out of blue, and yeah, it's here.
Yeah. Too much impact on the knees. How do you stop that? I don't know. Don't train.
Less running.
Back to boggy pitches.
Back to what?
Back to boggy pitches.
Let
us train in boggy pitches.
I thought you said body pitches, and I was like, what's a body pitch? I'm going to put a new one on me.
Emma, you went for Jess Park as your surprise package.
Yeah, I think, you know, just when she was at City, she was good, but she was never going to play. So, you know, as soon as you hear a player going on loan, you kind of think, I'll just keep them ticking over. And I'd be talking to Jess saying, you know, just do your best, make sure you're playing, so that when City are looking at you, they'll want to bring you back. And she's just gone way beyond that. I mean, being selected with England as well is a massive, massive boost for her. And I just think in that team, she's just shown her maturity and just her level. She's just quality. Whether she can keep that consistency up, I don't know, but she's definitely surprised me since the start of the season about how she's approached that loan, because nobody wants to go on loan. Everyone wants to stay. Like, she lives in Manchester. It's difficult for her traveling and things like that. You want to stay at your club and you want to fight for your place. The fact that she left was a big surprise for me. And now the fact that she's kicking on and probably one of their best players as well, getting involved with England as well, is a great thing for her. So yeah, she's my little surprise.
And the winner is, drumroll please, this is So Go Scrap.
Well, it got mentioned across 2 categories, so
exactly, and it's a standout when you try to think of actually moments across the season or surprises that just stood out and were like, made you sit up and went, huh, what's happening here? It's definitely one of them.
Is that a clean sweep for Karen on the awards? I feel like it is. Oh, apart from you went for Rachel Daly.
I went for Rachel Daly. It was close. Like, I was close, but then no, I just chose Rachel Daly myself.
Close to a queen sweep then. Well, Emma, thank you very much for taking the heat and doing that for us, and best of luck. Emma is getting married in the next week or so, which is very exciting to have a COYGIG wedding.
It's not too late, Emma.
So obviously we're all sending our best to yourself and Mairead for the big day. It's such a nice time of year and some nice news, which we need more of in the world. And the COYGIG Pod and OTB Sports is in association with Cadbury FC, official snack partner to Republic of Ireland women's national team. We will be taking a short break from the podcast, but do not worry, as we will be back in early January with a very special episode, and as well as all the WSL action once it starts up. And of course, we have international camps coming up. We have World Cup prep to do. So it is going to be a big year for the podcast. But thank you all for listening along so far, and we shall see you all very soon.
The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.